Hello, this is Ray Rucci, and welcome to another installment of Items of Interest. This is going to be a second video about creating a mouse for Bambu Labs 002 mouse kit. This is a kit that has the internals for a mouse that you can construct yourself by printing a shell on a 3D printer and then attaching it to the base. And what I've got is a replacement base for than the one that I already. The first one I built was made out of PLA and did not function very well as a mouse. I managed to get the mouse bottom, the internals, put together properly. I printed it out in white PLA, but these rubbery covers of FPLA didn't work at all. This one printed out better than this one, which printed out really poorly, as I showed in a previous video. But now that I've got a carbon fiber printed mouse shell, I'm going to work on getting that. That came out of the printer yesterday pretty well. I had to change the settings inside the slicer to reflect the fact that I was using a different type of novel, hardened steel rather than stainless steel, because carbon fiber filament is so rough it can actually affect what you're working on. This is the new toolkit I got from Amazon, specifically designed for working on 3D prints, which is pretty cool. It comes with X-Acto knives, spudgers, a deburring system to get the burrs off of the side of the prints, which is also nice, and a digital caliper set, which is going to be really handy for measuring things, and ref files, all these things that will not only help enhance the print, but also make the somewhat difficult process of getting the supports off, and a metal scraper. You have to be careful with metal scrapers on your print beds because you don't want to gouge the beds, that could be difficult. But what I'm really looking for are the snips. This is pliers for pulling, but I believe it's also got a set of snips for cutting filament, for example. Yeah, anything to make it easier to work with the 3D printer is better. And this all came in a really nice case for 23 bucks, and I will send I'll put a link in the video to where you can find it on Amazon, as well as a link to the file, to today's file for this carbon fiber printout. Here we go. These are the blue snips. So the first thing to do is, let's see if the trees will come off just by themselves, and it looks like they kind of want to. I had a really hard time with this mouse when I printed it out in the FPLA because the trees had grown up inside the shell right in here, and they became almost impossible to rip out, especially. So there's lots of tree residue stuck in the shells that didn't work. So I printed this one upside down, figuring the printer will be okay with that, because after all, it's a digital file. It shouldn't care how you print it. You can print it sideways. You could print it, upside down, at a slant. There's some things that I printed at a slant just to fit them in the print bed. Like I made some 3D shoes, size 10, and to fit them into my A1's print bed, I really had to get them at an angle, or else they were never going to work. So what I can see now, I mean, these are going to come out. I mean, the cells are coming, the tree supports are coming out pretty quickly just by hand, which is really great. And now I can see more of what this thing's actually supposed to look like as a mouse shell, because the last mouse shells were just off. So I may have some residual parts I may need to use the pliers or the snips on. Let's see. And I'm liking the carbon fiber. I mean, it's still plastic, but it feels a little heftier. And definitely the roll of filament was way heavier than usual. So yeah, some of these filaments the supports are extending into the bottom of it. So you kind of have to be careful. Anything that's movable, especially, you don't want to have any trees involved. So it looks like there's just a little tree action. Let's like the buttons are gonna free up. And the buttons are a little stiff. The problem with the other one that I had was the buttons were floppy, you know. They had floppy, they kind of just flopped up and things like this, and not a good mouse. Might be able to use like part. I mean, what's cool about 3D printing is that you could print half of this mouse shell in the FPLA and then switch to PLA for the front for the buttons and have a nice rubbery back for it. Check that out later. But I think this model of the 002 mouse in carbon fiber, I mean, this is a modded model, right? So this model is designed to what? It's got a rounded back. It's more ergonomic. The last thing you want with your mouse is to have it, give you problems. And I had issues with connecting the previous mouse to the Mac Mini, and I'm going to see if I can figure out what to do with that. It looks like this assembly came out. I don't know whether I need this. I'm going to put this in the parts bin over here, because I'm not sure if I need it or not. So what we do is, yeah, these trees are covering the part where the click wheel shows up. So I'm just going to be careful about pulling these out properly. The whole idea is if you see any sort of tubular structures inside what you're working on, that's a tree. And the trees can interfere with what you've got. But at least I'm not trying to do the cleanup from the bottom of this thing, which would have been a disaster. Yeah, I'm still figuring out the YouTube channel situation, but it's going so far. I mean, well, so far. Fortunately, there's a fair amount to cover inside the 3D printer hobby. A lot of people are interested in it. So I may make printer videos for a while before I switch over to something else. So yeah, it's coming along. It's coming along. There's just a little bit of cleanup to do on this edge over here. Yeah, what's nice with the standing tools is you can smooth down, like there's a rough area at the top. I can just smooth it down to where I want it to be, to where it fits the base. There's all sorts of things you can do with 3D printing. You can paint your prints. I printed some statues in white PLA because I had the white PLA, but then I found some black stone paint and I spray painted them to look more like what I wanted to do, have done. But I found that when I printed out like the gargoyles, like I did in my first video, they look pretty good in white. I mean, when you get your white PLA, it kind of has a deep creamy color, kind of like marble. And so there's no reason to not leave it like that. And, but it would be nice to get more of the expressive filaments, because there's all sorts of stuff. There's nice iridescent purple ones. There's filament rolls that change color, as they print. So you get different colors in your prints on the roll. You don't have to change anything. You don't need an AMS. All you have to do is use a color changing roll. So it looks like there's a couple more trees inside here. But the area where you attach the mouse pads, like on the bottom, that's totally clear. That was fun. So let's see. Loose trees in the back. And then trying to figure out, let's see what I can feel over here. Yeah, there's some printer chat. But these structures here, they all seem integrated. And I think the main things with the buttons are working fine. And then the scroll wheel chamber is pretty well set. I think I pretty much got everything out of here. All right, let's try a dry fit. See what happens. Here's the model. These are the two posts that were giving me so much problems with the other ones. So this fits under the lip. I think what I have to do is I have to sand down the channel over here. There's a little space in there where the trees used to be. It's giving it a little trouble fitting. Yeah, there's a tab that fits up in here. And if the tree residue is too, I mean, if it's standing up too much, then the tab's not going to fit. I suppose this might be a good time to dig up the X-Acto knife. In fact, we can't use that. It even says carbon fiber composites digital caliber. I mean, huh? That's cool. Yeah, I'm sure I can use it for whatever I want to. All right, here's the X-Acto knife, and it comes with several blades, which is kind of nice. Also comes with a case that you can store the parts in when you're not using them. So let's see. What was I? Oh yeah, X-Acto knife. Okay. So X-Acto knife has a razor blade at the end. It's very sharp. You need to be careful with them, but they're good for sawing down parts. First thing, you need to make sure it's totally screwed tight because you don't want the blade to wobble. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the parts here where the tab doesn't really want to go in so that they're completely flat. They're supposed to be. Just have to get this oriented right. This word is oriented or out, orientated. Yeah, I want to make sure you don't want to cut too many layers down when you do this. You could seriously damage your model. Yeah, like I said, if I keep on pushing this too far, I'm going to start damaging the model. So I have to be careful about what I'm doing. Hopefully I've got enough of attachment level for the shelf here. So yeah, there's a shelf on there's a little lip here that fits into a shelf at the top of the mouse, and then two screw holes in the back. And I think it's gonna work. Yeah, now it works. Excellent. Excellent. So now the white base is in the black carbon fiber shell, which is good. The buttons seem to be hitting the micro switch and the scroll wheel's running, so everything seems great. Okay, so now the next thing to do is to figure out where the little screws went and put the screws into the mouse. parts in the box. Maybe the screws are in the box. The feet are in the box. There's also a white bit. But when I hooked this together last time for the last vid, all of the electronics worked, so I didn't really need that. So I'll track down the screws. I can also put the 4 feet on. These are what they call them, Teflon. Maybe these are Teflon feet. Just Teflon feet on. So what's nice about this kit is if you get tired of this mouse or you get some really cool filaments, you can just pop the shell off. Print out another shell, do the whole thing again. Like I said, depending on your filament or your situation with the supports, I'd seriously considering printing this thing upside down like I did. Otherwise, you may run into like a no-joy situation. There are little round, actually they're oval holes that you put the pads into in here, inscribing the print. So you have to get that right. All right, so that looks good. I mean, for what it is. I said it's still a little rough. Probably sand it down a bit to make it be less rough on the parts where the thumb parts hit. But so far so good. And have to figure out the situation with wiring it together with the dongle that it came with. When I originally plugged the dongle in, it had a seriously hard time seeing it as anything other than a keyboard. So I'm going to go around and stick this into the Mac Mini. All right, so I plugged it into an available port on a dongle connected to my Mac Mini M4, and we're going to see how it connects. When I did this last time, it popped up as a keyboard replacement and was not happy. And at this point, I'm also trying to see if well, I'm having a power issue. In fact, I'm getting pop-ups on the Mac Mini saying certain devices connected to the USB ports are draining power and I have to disconnect them. Which is kind of strange because this is like a 2025 Mac Mini M4 and you would think this stuff would stop happening. So anyhow, I'm going to look in Control Panel and go over to where the mouses are. See if I can pick it up. And I should probably check Bluetooth as well. Yeah, I think the main issue is I'm going to have to figure out how to connect it to one of the ports in the front that actually has power because being connected to the dongle, it doesn't even to the yeah, to the dongle. You know, the expansion dongle, it doesn't even see it. So the Mac Mini 2025, it has 2 USB-C ports in the front and 5 USB-C Thunderbolt ports on the back, and I'm pretty sure they all provide power. But you have to figure out, like if you connect a dongle, you know, expansion dongle that has HDMI out and USB ports on it, card readers and things like that, you can run into a situation in which it's not receiving power. And it's not going to connect. So that's the issue here. Okay, so what I'll do is turn the mouse on. This mouse didn't come with a port. The power switch, it's a little black plastic piece and it didn't come with it. But you can reach in, turn it on and off. Just using a little probe. Come on. Stuck in there. Come on. All right. So what we'll do is we'll turn the mouse on here. See, now it's shining. We'll see if it tracks. Okay, it looks like it's gonna track. That's good. The mouse is tracking. Yeah, the click buttons work, which is cool. Wow, that's good. So it looks like everything's working now. As opposed to the flexible filament, the click buttons work. Just have to do a quick test of the scroll wheel to see if the scroll wheel works. And the carbon fiber is actually comfortable, you know. I would recommend this mouse, you know, as a kit for people. I'd also recommend, you know, the carbon fiber filament. So yeah, the scroll wheel works. That's good. It's tracking well. So what else do you need? You need two buttons. You need a scroll wheel that works, and the pointing device needs to move the pointer where it's supposed to be. And ergo, it is mouse. Yay! There we go. Yeah, now caveat, what I'm going to show in a video right after this is the software. You have to set it up as a hardened steel nozzle in your slicer, like I was using Orca slicer. And I kept getting errors. It was telling me that it wouldn't allow me to print because the carbon fiber filament was too rough for the stainless steel nozzle and could uh, affect the print and it could damage the printing nozzle. Now, in my print properties, I changed everything to hardened steel nozzle presets that were set in there. But no matter what I did, I still got an error when I tried to print it after slicing it. And it took some internet searching to find a 2-year-old Reddit post, which told me exactly that I had to go to the device settings, printer parts, and change the nozzle there, because that was the only way to tell the printer that it had a hardened steel nozzle in it. And the error message gave no information at all. Was not helpful. So like I said, I'll show the software a little later in the video. All right, well, this is a shot of Orca Slicer, and I'm going to show you guys how to change the nozzle. Now, when you set your thing up, you can set what kind of nozzle you can in this control panel here for your print. However, this doesn't work for carbon fiber, because even if you switch this to a hardened nozzle and you put a hardened nozzle into your A1 printer, it's still not going to see it. And it's going to give you a pop-up error message, which will not help you at all. What you want to do is go over to the Device tab, click on Printer Parts. Now you've got a really small pull down. And what you're going to do is you're going to look for where it says Nozzle Type, and you're going to flick that over to Hardened Steel. You're also going to need to make sure that it fits your nozzle diameter as well. And that's the best way to get this to actually work. The A1 Mini with carbon fiber. PLA. All right, well, that's the wrap up of the carbon fiber mouse project to resurrect the Bambu Labs O2 mouse kit that I got and my errant attempt to use FPLA, which did not work. However, carbon fiber worked as long as I made sure that I printed the mouse upside down with minimal tree supports. Good luck in your 3D prints, and thanks for watching.